Thank you. I really like this picture. I was going to look at the back. This picture is very interesting in many ways. Why is that? Because it actually tells us a story. It tells us a story about how we are all connected. I mean, imagine 30 hours of video uploaded every second. 204 million emails sent every second. Over 2 million searches through Google every second. But there's a dark, sinister area that involves the internet. And it's a price that we have to pay. In the latest internet threat report produced by Verizon and Symantec, they said that small businesses, or even businesses, are doing it tough. They say that attackers, and let's call them thieves, are producing malicious code faster, more craftier, more malicious, yet the defense is lagging. Just look at the numbers. 317 million pieces, should I say, of malware every year. That basically comes down to about roughly 1 million per day, or 10 pieces per second. Now, what's the scariest thing about this? That 60% of these attacks are targeting small business. Why is that? Because small businesses are easy prey. They don't have the budgets, they don't have the expertise, they don't have the time like large organizations. These two pictures behind me just demonstrate from a survey conducted by Symantec, the business said that cyber attacks are increasing. In 90% of incident cases that Verizon has studied, they said that hackers have used bugs, vulnerabilities, since 2002. And this seems crazy to me, because really what you could do is eliminate it straight away by just making sure that your system's up to date. So why don't businesses do it? Is it because they don't have the time? Is it because they don't have the expertise? So let me define what a hacker. I've actually got 3 sorts of people. We've got the activists, which are what I call people who could be political inclined, who like to disrupt. So disrupt services as such, or embarrass. On the right-hand side, we've got the spies, where they know exactly what they want, and they're very targeted, and they go and try and get the information. They usually are sponsored by countries. And then there's the middle part, which are the criminals. And criminals could be using either of those two as well. But criminals are looking for financial gain. They're looking to get in to your business and take as much information as you can. Now, there's one element that's missing here, and it's called the insider, which is something that I've been very keen lately. But insider also has a potential of being a criminal in trying to get access to information. But their benefit is they're already a trusted user. This picture shows that most of the attacks that are happening are very much financial motivated. So if you look at the attacks that are happening today, the 370 million of pieces of malware is because there's a huge reward in getting money. I like this picture, and I'll tell you why. I often have discussions with businesses, and they always say to me, I'm never a target. I'm too small. I don't have anything of value. I don't have IP. Why would they attack me? Obviously, there's a big organization. I'm small. So here's a picture that I've borrowed from Krabs Security, who's a very well-known journalist who deals with the underground and, if you want to call it, the black community. And he basically described the value of a hacked PC. And this is very important. If you look at the bottom right-hand side, a hacker will be very keen in trying to get your financial information and even account information because they can monetize it. If they've got your account details to a bank, they can straight away access your bank and take money out. But what else can we use your hacked PC? We can use it as a means to attack other computers. We can sell that computer as a bot activity, and it's very lucrative. We can also use it as a phishing expedition. We can also turn it maybe into a website to invite victims to come down and be infected. We can also access your social media and maybe access your Facebook and entice your friends or pseudo-friends to do something for you. So the value of a hacked PC is great. And so for a business to say they're not a target is rather laughable. Here's another example of a hacked email account. And you say, well, what's the value of an email account? Well, an email has a large trove of information. What a better way of trying to get a whole, or siphoning all the contact list. Now I can send to all your contact lists a link with an attachment, which so happens to be malicious. And what's better, it comes from you, which you happen to be a trusted friend or user. But within an email or a mail system, you've also got a lot of other information that you can start looking for and using, whether it be financial detail, maybe login details to various applications. There's a huge amount of information to be gained by hacking an email account. So this is a timescale. A timescale of data breaches usually takes minutes, maybe hours, to compromise a computer. But it takes months to find out that you've been compromised. And I've read roughly it's about 200 days. And then it takes maybe weeks to fix it. So for an organization to say they're not a target is quite laughable. But what's the key here? 10, 20 years ago, when an organization got hacked, the hacker was laughing. It was all about ego. Check this out. I've hacked your website. Am I not good? But these days, hacking is all underground. Why am I going to tell you? The whole purpose of hacking is to maximize the return from your business. So if I can extract as much information from your business, the better, because I can sell it. So let's get into a little bit more the meat and greet. Ransomware, which I usually call cyber kidnapping. Okay? So ransomware has really picked up in the last 3 years, and I'll explain why shortly. But ransomware works. Why does it work? Because it attacks people's emotions. And when it attacks people's emotions, people then react. Why do they react? Because it attacks their personal information. So I just want to relate about maybe 3 areas. One is scareware. I don't know how many of you may have received an email pretending to be from Microsoft saying that you have illegal software on your computer. Click here to pay a fine. That's a good way of downloading some malicious code. Another one is a great one, is police ransomware, where you might get also a very similar message, but coming from the Australian Federal Police, saying that you have violated, or you've stolen, or you've done something illegal. Please pay here. But typically what ransomware does, it likes to disrupt your system. It likes to stop your system, make it change your data, maybe delete the data, or as the last one, crypto ransomware wants to encrypt your data. And what this malware does, it looks for all your data that you may have on your machine, whether it be Word files, spreadsheets, etc. And what it does, it encrypts it, and then sends you a message and saying, by the way, we've encrypted your machine or all your data. Please pay X amount of dollars in Bitcoins to me. And over the last 3 years, crypto ransomware has increased by 500%. So here's an example. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of it. It's called the Gold Coast Medical Centre. They got hit by a ransomware called CryptoLocker. It encrypted the server. This organization thought that their systems was all fine. They had all the antivirus, they had all the firewall, and yet they still managed to get through. What was the downside by their organization is the backup. They were able to restore the backup until the last 12 months. So they had a choice, either pay or live without it. So they paid $4,000. Just to give you some more examples. This is a county sheriff in the States, Tennessee, Detroit, where they also got encrypted. And they paid for it as well. So it just shows that even sophisticated businesses or organizations, irrespective of where they are, it does work. Another one is Greenland Town. They had all their computers encrypted. Now the sad story about this one is by the time they realized that their systems were encrypted, they couldn't do anything about it because the time to pay had passed. So they lost all the data for the past 8 years. Now this one is actually taking place right now. It's called Torrent Locker. And it's basically infected, I think, about 39,000 computers around the world. For some reason, Australia is second. It's generated close to $600,000 in the last few months. This is an email. I actually got it. Usually comes with a logo from Australian Post. It makes it look real. Now, the interesting thing is, it asks you that, if you don't do anything about it, we're going to charge you $5.81 per day. So the emotion is that, well, I don't want to be charged. I want to do something about it. What I'm going to do is click this link. And that's how you get infected. Okay? So, I want to talk about the next 7 slides, because these are critical slides. This is how you know that you might be a target. So, number 1. As I said before, small business have a tendency of not doing much. They don't update the systems. And most of the bugs that hackers use are like 10 years of age, and they still work. So why not update your systems? It's like saying, I'm going to drive my car, but I'll never check my tires. I'll never check my oil, never check anything. I assume the car will drive for 10 years. How well would the car drive? So it's a key importance to make sure that systems are updated. Interesting thing, Verizon data breach report a few years ago said 75% of data breaches were based on an opportunity, which means like you left the door open to your house, invited someone in, didn't close the doors. It's really basic. Passwords. Passwords are bane. There's so many passwords to remember. How many applications do you use? 20, 30? Banks, applications, Facebook, your business. Very hard. And then you keep on telling you, make sure it's long, make sure it's different. Well, it needs to be different because there's some really scary stories whereby a user basically got hacked. They managed to get the user identification and the password, and he used that same password authentication for all his applications. So you have to create something different. So I get a complaint, well, I can't remember that many passwords. There are applications, free applications, that you can use called password managers that make that job really easy. Clicking on links, like the one I showed you, you'll probably get a lot of emails asking you to do something, specifically to click a link. This one is malicious. I get probably 10 or 20 such emails a week. Opening attachments. Also, have a look at it. $6,841. Really? Did I do that shopping? Really? But it doesn't look correct. So you have to have your eyes. You have to sort of realize that something is not wrong. But why even bother? Don't open it. And the reason why it's a .zip, because it's trying to get through your firewall. Installing applications they didn't ask for. Okay, this is great. Fake antivirus programs. You go somewhere and suddenly you're saying your system is not protected. We found problems on your machine. Please download this application. Did you ask for it? No, so don't download it. Don't install applications you didn't ask for. Divulging information. People like to divulge information. Guess what? I was born on this date. This is where I live. Here's my personal information. Why? You're just making it easier for someone to understand who you are. Piece a story. And guess what? We can do maybe some identity stuff. We can pretend to be you. Another one, responding to requests. Look, we want to know that you are alive. Please tell us. Why tell them that you are actually a real user? You've just given them an email address that they can do something with. So the whole point is not to tell them anything. So it comes down to what I call as a user 1.0. Because we haven't changed. We're still doing the same basic mistakes. Now, in this diagram, Verizon basically addressed all its attacks that it sees over the last 10 years into what I call is about 10 different patterns. Probably see a huge amount of threats, but if you sort of condense them, they usually come down to these patterns. What is not clear from first sight is that if you look at the top 4, they count to 90% of incidents, which is us, people. We either goof things up, we either get infected, we either do the wrong thing, or we lose something. Like we leave a mobile in a taxi or a bus. So what I usually say is put your hand up, point to yourself, and say, I am the problem. So how do we go to user 2.0? So this is really simple. It's no rocket science. You don't need to go and spend a huge amount of money on sophisticated security. Any business could do this. Make sure your system's up to date. Do it. All your systems, okay? Including your routers and firewalls, things you don't think of. Make sure you use strong password. Use a sophisticated password manager. You wouldn't have to worry. Don't tell people your password. Don't write it down somewhere. Don't respond to requests, which means attachments. Don't click on links, and don't respond to people asking for information. If you want to, give them a phone call and say, are you the person who just sent me this email? Verify. Now, the key thing here, number 4, is backup. What I tell businesses, you do the 3-2-1 method. 3 backups on 2 different media and 1 off-site. Now, for the more security-conscious organization, I do add 2 more. Remove the administration rights from your computer. Why? Because without admin rights, very hard for malware to install itself. And 6, make sure you control what applications you're running on your system. I'll finish by one last thing. The Australian Signals Directorate has said, if you did 1, 5, and 6 consistently, then 85% of your intrusions would have been protected. Thank you very much.